Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Now today I want us to be very real. The hashtag is morning at NTV across all the social media platforms. So this morning, let's carry forward that conversation that Andrew Chamagero had with Omuntu Wawansi on reviewing the performance of members of parliament, them that we elected to go to parliament to represent our voices. How well have they performed, and where can we pinch here and there to ensure that come 2019 the conversation is different? So today in studios, I'm joined by Honorable Francis Gonahasa. He is the Member of Parliament, Kabweri County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning. You're welcome. Next to him is Honorable Abbas Agaba. He is the Member of Parliament, Chitagwenda County, a representative of NRM. Yes? And FDC on that other side.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Viewers, and I'm happy to be here.
Good morning.
I like the difficulty with which you pronounce Chitagwenda.
Oh my goodness, Chitagwenda.
Yes,
now,
yes.
the three main issues, and we did ask people, what are the three main conversations that took stage in 2018 that they felt the members of parliament did not represent them well? And number one was the mobile money taxation. Number two, we had the issue of security, insecurity in the country. The other one, the new conversation in the bloc that we even are seeing the president very articulate about, is the issue to do with corruption. And corruption centers, with service delivery. So let's start with mobile money taxation. And we saw 164 members of parliament in support of the reduction of the taxation from 1% to 0.5% only on withdrawals. And we had 124 saying that, let's do away with this taxation in totality. So I'll start with you, Mr. Gonahasa. Do you think the members of parliament really failed the electorate? Or was there need for this 0.5% taxation on withdrawals to be maintained?
Yeah, once again, good morning, viewers. Tax is the blood of any development, of any economy. And I wouldn't mind anything about taxation. We need tax money as government. Whichever government will be in this country will need taxes. Now, focusing directly on the mobile money taxation, there are very many ways government can raise money. And we have the big businesses in this country. They make a lot of money. When you talk about tax avoidance, tax, what they call it, dodging taxes, evasion, that's the word. It's really the big people who are evading these taxes. And they evade so much money that if that money was collected, we didn't need to do this mobile money taxation at that rate. I actually opposed it because I think this tax affects the smallest people at all levels. And then somebody joked, he said, no, it doesn't only affect the small people, it affects all of us, especially we in parliament, because whenever you send money, it means you are losing a lot of money that would reach the people. But my opposing the mobile money tax thing was basically because I think we evade so many taxes. How many goods come into this country, and the taxes on those goods are evaded. They are what we call tax auditors. They are so good at writing books that they will, instead of paying or charging a 1 billion tax, they will charge maybe 300, 400 million tax.
So they
and
know
the rest
how
of the
to
money
cook the
disappears.
numbers, right?
They know how to cook the numbers, and I still think this tax, I want to thank everybody who said, okay, we can reduce it from 1% to 0.5%, but I think the time is coming when we should actually avoid this tax.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Abbas, just let us in on this one. We know NRM actually had a caucus meeting before the vote of this particular taxation, and the stand of the government was we need to maintain this even if it's just 0.5% on withdrawals. Where was this decision coming from? Of course, so not all the NRM representatives voted for this. Some of them, what we call rebel members of parliament, came out. But are we not understanding this well enough? Where did the decision of the caucus come from?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Taxes, we must understand it. Taxes are not democratic, and everybody knows. Taxes are imposed by government because it's a source of income for government. So if a person was given a right to choose on whether to pay tax or not, who would say let me pay? Nobody would pay. They would not pay the tax if you have a choice. So normally when the Minister of Finance is reading a budget, he says we have imposed the tax on this and this. So there's no democracy about it. But the question would be the rationality of the tax, and it also, let me couple it with the other one. In leadership, the most important preoccupation of leaders is decision making. And any serious leader must never avoid decisions, because you are involved in deciding on this, deciding on the other. Now, the decisions are not judged on whether they are good or bad, because some decisions are good, some decisions are bad, some are positive, some are negative. A decision is judged on its rationality. Was it necessary? Or was it relevant? Was it right?
So was this necessary?
Exactly. Because government wants to raise money, the decision was rational. They took a rational decision to impose a tax. But where are we coming from? Initially, the decision was to impose a tax of 1% on deposits, on transfers, on withdrawals. Right. 3 stages of consumption, of withdrawal, of taxation. Now, the people you are calling Omutuawansi complained to us as their leaders. We came back to the caucus and told them, please, this tax is so heavy and so bad on the people that the reactions are so high. What did we do? We said, no, remove taxes on deposits, remove taxes on transfers, only keep a tax on withdrawal. Why? Because at withdrawal, money is changing form from electronic money to physical money. And even then, at withdrawal, 1% is big, let's do it 0.5. So let the people know that the NRM caucus took a decision to amend, to modify this tax to make it palatable after the people complained to us. But in actual sense, like Honorable Gonhasa said, even if it's FDC that comes to power, this taxation, they will tax people.
But you know, someone would argue that the country actually, in the financial year of 2017, the one that we actually closed, around 4 million was actually lost. $4 million US was actually lost thanks to, you know, tax holidays. And the conversation has been, why are we taxing the only source of financial inclusivity of Umuntu Wawansi? Why shouldn't we, you know, turn around the tax incentives that we give the investors? Mr. Gonahasa, your take on that?
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing up the idea of tax holidays. I think we are stretching this thing called tax holidays. Some people get taxes for 5 years, 10 years, and then they get a renewal. I think one of the biggest beneficiaries of the tax holidays in this country is the Bujagali Electricity Company. They call it BEL. Bujagali has always continued to get tax holidays, and we don't know why. We say, fine, they have been here for some time. Their electricity is most expensive in this country. Why don't they pay some of this money to the coffers of government so that we avoid taxing the Omontuawansi so heavily? I said it already. It's good they reduce the taxes from 1% to 0.5%, but I still believe that for the good of our people down there, when you go down the villages, life is really miserable. Right. And yet there's so much money at the top. Tax holidays are tax holidays. They happen all the time for the same people, to the extent that we think somebody's benefiting. And when somebody's benefiting from these taxes, it hurts the people. Talk to the people down there. I mean, I'm very patriotic. I'll pay my taxes because I know the taxes that we pay, if well used, and I emphasize, if well used, would be good enough for this country. Many of us are willing to pay taxes as long as we know what the money does. But you go to the medical services, service delivery in this country is miserable. You go to schools, it's miserable. Thank God for the roads. I mean, the president keeps talking about, yes, we made the infrastructure. Right. Fine. But you go on these roads, the cost of driving any car on our roads today is so high. We are taxing fuel very high. When you tax fuel, it means everything in the economy goes up. So to me, I think the challenge is government should look where the money is, block the loopholes which are draining the can I call it the money basket for Uganda. Right. And when you've done that, you will be very sure to service the people, or to provide the services the people deserve. Honorable
Agaba, 4 trillion UGX lost thanks to tax holidays. Shouldn't NRM, the caucus, sit down and think of how we can actually bring that to a close and just earn our money's right?
No, I wouldn't agree with you. Why? because the two are separate. They are mutually exclusive. Why? We need tax holidays.
But for how long?
We need tax incentives. Yes. Their abuse on one side, we should manage the abuse. I don't agree with abuse of the tax holidays. What do the tax holidays do, or incentives? They attract investors. When an investor comes here, they are given some incentives to attract them here. They set up investments to create jobs for our people. That's very good. But when they are abused, like he's saying, Bujagari, they abuse it, they keep renewing without assessing its impact. I don't agree with that.
Whose fault is it?
No, it's the government's fault.
Thank
the
you.
government must wake up to assess the impact of the tax holidays. But I wouldn't agree with you to say close the tax holidays just because some people are abusing them, and then we look at how we save this money to use it otherwise.
How about if we say that instead of closing, we just regulate? We say that you're coming to invest in Uganda, great. This is the only period of time that you're going to be given in terms of tax holidays. Should we put that into place?
I agree with you 110%. We shouldn't just open up like we have opened our borders to everybody who wants to come to Uganda. Uganda is one of the few countries with the most porous borders. When we get problems, I think we shall have a rude awakening. We should regulate. I agree with you. If it's 5 years, if it's 10 years, if it's 2 years, but give somebody a holiday to come and invest, and also keep assessing them. We have Kananathan was here. He fleeced Ugandans. That's the Agoa thing. They gave them a holiday. They abused it. Abuse is bad. That's part of corruption. But that abuse should not mean that we get rid of the holidays totally.
Then should government's focus have been that instead of taxing the common person down there? Shouldn't that be the focus then?
You see, you are relating two different things, and I want to separate them again.
They're all for the common good.
I agree with you.
Right.
I would be very happy if tomorrow government says no more taxes, no more OTT for the common person.
OTT has no problem. It's mobile money.
Okay, no more mobile money tax for the common person. I would be very happy. But in this case, as I would agree with you to say, as government is trying to raise money through the mobile money tax and other sources, it should tighten on the loose nuts through which the money is going. You raise the corruption. I know that a lot of, not even these tax holidays are the big problem. The big problem is the money being stolen by those responsible for keeping the money.
Right.
So if you tighten on that one, maybe you may not have need to overtax people.
Let's look at one of the bites of a mobile money agent and how this has actually impacted them together with Omuntuwa and see that business at that level. Let's take a look.
To repress these crooks is very big. The only problem now...
For example, now, if you are attending some customers, they can come and he or she asks you, if I'm sending like 2 million, how much do I have to pay? When you explain to him or her, like it's like something like 20,000, then he tells you, I cannot pay all that money. I'd rather get a border and I take the money to the person whom I was sending the money to.
Exactly. So they are feeling the pinch. Mr. Agaba, let me just let you in on this one. We've already assessed. Have you even bothered to assess the impact of the taxation on business down there? You have?
Personally, yes, I have an impression of what is happening. You see, for example, originally, we had run out from using bank accounts. I, for one, I can tell you, when I'm sending money to the village, I'm more comfortable placing it on an account. Somebody picks it from Ibanda and takes it to the village to use it, than sending it on mobile money because they pay a lot of money. I feel it. So I imagine others feel it.
Thank you.
But this is a tax
So with that and knowing the implications of this tax and the effect that it has had on the economy, are we going to see the government reverse this and bring it to 0%?
I don't speak for government. No, I'm not the official government spokesperson.
Okay, but
what I know that is true is that the impact of the tax imposed on mobile money has been felt. Like the 1% initially being charged at the 3 points, it was felt. We raised it again to the caucus. Caucus said, deposit, no tax. Transfer, no tax. Withdraw, because you are changing money from one form to another, impose a tax of 0.5%.
But now with the
ideas, if users are still coming in to see how well the government can serve its people, maybe we can review it, we can talk about it. That will come. But the point I would like to make is, even when the mobile money tax is still there, the only worry I have is that the mobile money business may die. because they have options. They can use the bank account, they can take the money physically, etc., which is also risky. But the mobile money business, which had started well and grown, may also be killed. Maybe we need to look at it again. It will come. We are the people's representatives.
And I'm happy that you've pointed out to that, because most of the agents have actually closed shop.
Yeah.
So it is dying. And before we actually wake up, that segment,
what
financial
we raise
inclusivity,
again.
will be gone out of this country completely. Mr. Gonahasa, just let us in on this one. Do you think that the people the members of parliament that voted for the retainment of 0.5% taxation on withdrawals will pay the price come 2021?
Well, that's interesting. Some have already started paying the price really badly. They're being chased away from their constituencies by the constituents. One of the ways you interact with the people, we call it bonding in the house, is to attend funerals. When you go to a funeral and they tell you, never come back to us, you should not even speak here, you told lies about us, they're already paying that price, and it's very frustrating. But that's not my it's not the way I like it to be. One, we should look at the quality of the leader. This tax, and I thought you were going to ask me a question, do you think they were thinking in the right set of their mind? I was sitting next to a young man who is an independent in the house, and he was telling me, I don't know how to handle this, I don't know how to vote. I said, tell the people, tell the truth of what your people think.
Right.
And when he was asked to go and vote, first of all, he told me, I think I should walk out. People were too scared about this thing. In the mindset of very many members of parliament, this tax was negative, and they know it. So whoever is watching out there, they know that this tax was motivated by something. And I don't want to go into the details, but it looks like people were convinced because they had to benefit as individuals. These rumors came out.
Mr. Agaba, you rightfully said that this might kill the mobile money sector. Do you think the government can actually stand to that point whereby we lose that bit of the economy? We know mobile money played a key role in boosting our economy. Do you think we can afford to make that sector suffocate and actually die?
Why would you deliver a child and then kill them? Yeah, I don't think anybody
Isn't that what NRM was doing?
No, I don't think anybody in their right mind would do that. The lesson we have learned so far is, initially, they put the tax at 1% at every stage of the 3 stages. The people complained. We started getting the caucus.
People complained, said, we scrap it off completely.
No.
What did you do?
You see, you complain, and then something is done about it. When they complained, the government also sat and said, let us remove the taxes at the 2 stages, and even this one that remains, we could keep it half. That was the government response. Still, the people are complaining, and the effects are felt. You can see them.
So you're going to review it?
No, I cannot say we can review it. It can come back to the caucus.
Okay.
People are sensitive. We are picking from the people. We can bring it back to the caucus and look at it again. You may reduce the percentage. You may have another way around it. Or we could advise otherwise. Everything is possible because the government is there, and it's the government of the people. These are elected leaders of the people.
Okay, keep your views coming. The hashtag is still morning at NTV. Let's move to the other conversation. And of course, when you talk of taxes, we can't miss to talk about corruption. And what people are saying is that we don't mind paying taxes. Our problem is the zero tax accountability. We are not told where these monies are going. We go to hospitals, we don't get the right services. We go to hospitals, we don't get medication. Basic public amenities are not there, and yet people are paying taxes. So, and we saw the president, of course, coming out very strongly to say that this time round, by the way, I'm gonna fight this. We're going to kill and fight corruption.
I hope so.
Your view on this, Mr. Gonahasa, the proposal for from the president on fighting corruption, do you think that is efficient enough?
You know, 32 years ago, I was a very, very strong supporter of the NRM.
32 years?
32 years ago. When it started, I was here. I was here. Unfortunately, all the good things they talked about, many have not been put into practice. I mean, say what you mean and mean what you say is the challenge of this government today. We have the IGG in place, and when the IGG was appointed, it was Augustine Rosindana those days. We were very proud of him, and we knew he knew what he was doing. I think after Augustine Rosindana came another one, a very nice judge, I forget his name. Today we have the lady in the house,
Madam Mulia Gonja.
Mulia Gonja Irene. But then before you know it, Irene is complaining she doesn't have enough money to fight corruption, she doesn't have this, she doesn't have that. A few days back, the president set up a parallel organization. No, even before that, he had somebody called James, I forget his name. Tweheyo. Yes. He put him in there. Before Tweheyo effectively fights corruption, we have a lieutenant colonel now. In my thinking, I think Mzee is just creating jobs for a few people around this corruption thing.
Creating jobs.
Because as far as I think, the thing is, if corruption was a fault, the way Magufuli is doing it in Tanzania, we wouldn't have all these problems. One day, Magufuli went to President Magufuli, I beg your pardon. Exactly. He went to Muhimbili Hospital and he found all the machines were dead. And he told the Director General of this hospital, I want these machines working tomorrow.
Failure to which?
You'll be fired.
Right.
And here we keep saying, you'll be fired. But before we know it, you're fired from here, you rise up there. So fire some people, make corruption really painful. And these are the words of the president. We're going to make corruption painful, and you know what it means.
So you're saying it's a lot of talk
just
and no
talks.
action.
And I'm telling you, Ugandans are very obedient people if they handle tough.
If they handle tough.
If they handle tough. Because somebody steals billions of shillings and you just push him on the side.
Right.
And somebody says, well, you know, you remember the first time we had corruption stories here when James Ogola was presiding over some big forum, and a general in the army said, where were you? Where were you when we were fighting?
Let me ask
so this level of,
you
know, you're playing around with hard things.
Right.
Be firm.
Right.
You will have it. In the Bible, which I believe in very strongly, it says, spare the rod and spoil the child.
Okay.
In government, spare the boys and you'll spoil the country.
Indeed. And I need your view on this, Mr. Agaba. And we are seeing quite intriguing revelations coming through, of course, in the past few days, with the main conversation being on corruption. And of all people to be implicated and pointed fingers at, Mr. Sam Kutesa. $500,000 million US in talks, in question right. Yes.
US dollars.
Yes, in question right now. Don't you think that the citizens actually warranted to say that they have no faith in the leadership that there is, if such a senior, leader can be implicated for such? And even the president said, you know what, we will now try to see what exactly transpired. And we know that the Chinese person in question has already been convicted.
He confessed, actually.
Yes, and he confessed.
Yes.
So, who is playing who? What game is this?
Well, what investigation is he doing? The man said I gave it to him.
No. That's
and he said I got a donation.
If tomorrow we choose to take things like that, tomorrow you choose to act like that, then you have many people killed, and before you know, some are killed for nothing. I think my view is there is a spirited commitment by the president. Failures on the side, because he has tried this, he has tried the other. Whatever he's trying is in the essence that he wants to fight corruption, setting up an anti-corruption desk in his office. The government formal anti-corruption institutions fighting corruption are there. We have two issues: the law, and then the technicalities now in the corruption. The law comes into the deal with the Honorable Sam Kutesa issue. It's a developing story. I've picked interest.
Right.
I'm trying to follow it. I also want to get interested properly. I've not been following it very well because we have been also with other things. But the point is, when a story comes up, people have to be taken through the law. There is no way you're going to shortcut and say, this one they are suspected to be this, then let's move.
So you're saying the only thing that is stalling us is the lack of laws there?
The laws are there, but the effectiveness of the same laws to fight corruption is a problem. So people are arrested because they are suspected, they are held by government, and they are questioned, they are put before the courts of law. If the courts of law release them, I don't think you hold the president responsible for that person being released. Katosi scam came, which every scam has come,
right.
And with the commitment has been to try them through the law. Now it brings me to the second point of the technicalities. How do you pin the person for corruption, for stealing money? I told you, as I mentioned this the other day, a person goes to the PS's office to sign a contract, and they carry the money in the bag, or they give the money to another person, then they sign the contract for them. So how do you bridge this?
Okay.
I would be concerned to see how much more effort is the president putting, is the government putting, to make sure that we deal with the corruption.
All right.
But I cannot say, Uganda is okay, we have no corruption. Money is being stolen left, right, and center, but we need more effort, we need more energy, we need new ideas.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we're running out of time, and
That's
I need your 1 second each views as we come to a close. How best can corruption be fought? Of course, it will be taking center stage come 2019, based on what the president said on Friday during the the prayer meeting. Your view in 1 second, Mr. Gonahasa, as we come to a close.
Corruption. I think the levels of corruption in this country are extraordinary, considering the amounts of money getting lost and considering the level of poor service delivery in almost all sectors.
Okay.
I think we need extraordinary actions to fight corruption.
So only action will save us?
Yes, I don't think there's anything better.
Okay, Mr. Gaba.
Well, we need to bite more, really. I would agree with him. We need to bite more.
Bite more.
We need to be more pragmatic.
Okay.
We need to tighten the laws. You know, if you say don't give bail to a person who is accused of murder, we could also say don't give bail to a person accused of corruption. Tighten a bit such that people see that we are really acting.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Francis Gonahasa, Member of Parliament, Kabweri County. Thank you so much, sir. And also Honorable Abasa Gaba, the Member of Parliament, Chitagwenda County. That has been 8 for All Morning at NTV Solutions segment. Keep your views coming. The hashtag is morning at NTV across all the social media platforms. Don't go away. Flavia Tumusime is up next with Take Note. Keep it here.
Spark TV presents the Spark TV Mega Festival on the 1st of January 2019 at the Uganda Museum. Come get a feel of the best stage performances by Uganda's heavyweight musicians and rib-cracking comedians. Plus, kids games, face painting, giveaways, and a special Spark TV tour of the Uganda Museum. Spark TV gets open